The question has been asked on the BattleGoat forums. How do I control only certain aspects of my military and let the AI control others? Well, in this instance, the user wants to manually control the Air Force and the ground forces and let the AI control the Navy. So the purposes of this illustration, I'm using the Soviet Union. I've got all of the Soviet Union's forces deployed, all 2,655 of them. What I do is I will highlight, lasso as it's sometimes called, every unit on the map. Okay. Now I've got all 2,655 of them lassoed. Now I want to manually control the ground forces and the air forces. So I would click on ground forces icon to filter just the land units, and then click on the individual rules of engagement and turn off minister control. Now only land forces at this stage will be manually controlled. AI will control everything else. Now on the bottom you have individual unit roles that you can still manage, and I'll show you why that's important on the air side. Now here we're going to now click to filter to only the air units. Now we have 220 air units. Now what I want to do is again turn off the minister control. So minister control is off for air units. Now the important thing about air units, even though this question was not asked, I want to throw this in though because I find it personally something personal that I do. I think it helps. You have different types of air units, and to help illustrate this, I'm simply going to go to an airfield that has some air units. Now you can see here we have, for example, the Su-30 flanker, and when we look at it, we can see it's an interceptor. Okay, it has terrible ground attack values. So what I like to do is select an interceptor, filter, and add highlighted classes. This means it will add every interceptor on the map. You know, we've got the MiG-25s, the MiG-23s, the MiG-31s. They're all interceptors. None of these are designed for ground attack. Then I click on the individual rules of engagement, and I click off ground attack down here in unit roles. This prevents my interceptors, when they fly over enemy ground units, from trying to attack them, and usually they get chewed up and you wind up losing interceptors, and then when you need them to intercept enemy fighters, they don't work. So I always do this with interceptors. Engage ground targets, turn it off. And whether or not you want to turn off ships or naval target engaging is up to you. Now conversely, my ground targets are very good. My aircraft that are designed to be air to ground are good at doing that role, but they're not very good at fighting aircraft, correct? So you can take strategic bombers or any kind of plane that's designed to fire at the ground targets, and you can do the same thing with them. Just once you get to where you need to, just turn off engage air. And that means if you send a bunch of tactical bombers in here to attack this unit, and there's some aircraft, some interceptors, they won't try to engage them and use all their supply and get worn down. At any rate, I hope that answers your question. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask away.